Hey, what's good, dog? Today we're going to be talking about my high school graduation, but I am also sick. And usually when YouTubers are sick, they don't make a video and they take a day off or a week off. Not Professor Teagues. It wasn't that long ago when I was sick. It was back in like Christmas, and I still made a video, okay? We're keeping the YouTube streak going. Now, I've had several other high school years. There's freshman year, sophomore year, junior year, and now I just finished senior year. This year has been the easiest of them all, okay? So with that being said, junior year was definitely the hardest because I had to do all the standardized testing so that the school district can know how retarded I am, and so they can be like, oh, you're not going to be allowed at these universities. You can go to these ones though, stuff like that. I scored below average on reading, but then pretty average on other things like writing, math, science. Those are okay, but then reading is just really, really low. And then there's also the civics test. I kind of joke about the civics test being a test that you have to take as an American, and if you fail, then you'll get deported and stuff. I got a 95% on it, I think. I'm too American to fail, but not American enough to get 100% on it. But 95, that's pretty good. And so I thought that the kinds of projects and tests that we're going to have in senior year was going to be a lot worse, but no. In fact, we don't have big tests in our senior year. Sure, we might have the kind of big tests, but the really, really big tests that we take at the end of the semester, we don't have those at all. They're just completely gone your senior year. I don't know why, but yeah, so with that, senior year was really, really easy and stuff. And then we have our big project that determines whether or not we're going to pass or fail. But yeah, I did my big project on animal control and pit bulls and dog training, all that stuff. And so I shadowed a dog trainer. I did that back in August. And it was pretty interesting. I'm an animal person, and so it was fun, I guess. I don't know. And so with all that, senior year, it was a breeze. I passed. I got my diploma, all that stuff, okay? When I got up on stage and I got my diploma handed to me, I did my little dilly. I danced and stuff, and everyone giggled. Everyone else, though, when they got their diplomas, they didn't do any of that. They were just walking up, shook the principal's hand, and then they just walked off. Come on, don't be boring. Me, I was the most interesting and funniest one because I danced, okay? I did my little dancey dance. I hit them with one of these. Was senior year the best? No, I'd say it's second best. It's second place, right behind junior year. Now, despite junior year being so hard, I did have a lot of good memories, okay? So a big talking point that I wanted to get into in today's video talking about senior year is, government class. I did make that one video, in 2023 when I first started the class, talking about this gun control debate that we did. And I talked about, my big talking points and stuff, and I only got through half of it, so I seemed like a lunatic in the end because the class was ending, and so we had to go to our next class and stuff. And so to end off the school year in the class, we had another gun control debate, but it was specifically centered around school shootings and stuff and gun violence. And the class voted for this. They specifically wanted to talk about this. And so we all had to submit questions regarding the topic, and so I submitted a question. According to this article, lots of gun owners panic buy and they purchase guns right after national news talks about a mass shooting that just occurred. Why could this be? Are people stocking up on firearms to make sure that their community isn't next to have a shooting? And I didn't personally think that was a very good question. It's just kind of random, oh, I don't care, I'm just going to submit a question, nobody's going to listen to me anyway, whatever. I was the second person to have my question presented to the whole class. All right, the first person went, we kind of talked about it for 10 seconds, and then we moved on, and then my question was pulled up on the projector. And I was like, what? We're going to talk about this now? What the frick? So many people were raising their hand, and I was the moderator, and so I had to call on people that were raising their hand, and I couldn't really give too much of my own opinion if they said something. I can say something if I really, really want to, but if I were to respond to everyone every single time, that would just be ridiculous. And so, I responded to some of their points a couple of times out of the 20 or 30 responses that we got in total before the class ended. Now, all the responses that we got in the class wasn't specifically about the panic buying and how a lot of gun owners purchase guns right after a mass shooting for whatever reason. It's more the fact that one point leads to another point and people kind of build off of that, and then we have a conversation, because that's how conversations work. But yeah, I'm not here to go through like every single detail of that school day and just like talking about all of their points and how I rebutted it those couple of times. This is just kind of a short update regarding how the class feels about guns after all these months since the first gun control debate. And spoiler alert, they are still scared of them. There were several people in the class that outed themselves, and they admitted that either them or their parents own guns and stuff, whether or not they even like having guns in the house. And the thing is that a lot of people are afraid to come out about being gun owners because, and this is just a conspiracy theory, they'll put you on a list and the government will get a hold of that list. And so they will know about every single person in the country that owns a gun and who to target or who to suppress from having either an opinion or having leverage, or even going as far as inciting a revolution to overthrow the government. So that all sounds like a bit of a stretch to most normal people, but it's still a possibility. And so, if you want to be safe, don't tell random people on the internet or at school, especially at school, don't tell random people that you own guns. Just avoid the gun discussion altogether, if you so desire. If you're confident that the government will not get their hands on your guns either way and you can fight all of them off in the revolution, then sure, do whatever you want, whatever. But yeah, separate from the gun discussions, there was also the election simulation. I don't know how much I talked about this on my channel or even the second channel. I am planning a podcast episode about it for the second channel, but I'm just gonna give a synopsis real quick on the main channel because this is high school related, okay? So we got to vote on a president and a vice president in each of the government classes, and then we'll have each class of those like presidents and vice presidents go at each other in this big election simulation debate. We'll talk about like actual issues that are going on in the country or in other countries through means of domestic, economic, and foreign policy kind of discussions. And so I actually ran for president and vice president, and I lost both of them. But I'll tell you what, I got 30% of the vote for president between me and someone else. And of course, this is after the initial gun control debate that happened in August, I'm pretty sure. And so people already hate me. They don't want me to go up on stage, go completely off script, and just like talk about how I want to murder people or murder, I don't know, which I wasn't gonna do that. Okay, like I'm here to have fun. I'm here to debate about things. Like, why would I sabotage the party? Because the goal is to win people's votes. You got me fricked up if you think I'm going up on that stage and saying a bunch of wild stuff in front of 400 people that could possibly get me suspended or expelled. You guys are out of your mind. But yeah, in the end, I didn't get the presidency. I did tell one of my friends to run for vice president, and he won. So my plan was I could manipulate him because he's a centrist. He doesn't know a dang thing about politics, okay? And so I could just tell him all of this random stuff that I want him to say, and then he'll probably say it. I didn't do that because the policies that are represented in each political party is not presented by the presidents. They have nothing to do with the policies. They're just there to stand up on stage and talk about them. And so I'm kind of glad that I didn't get presidency because of that, because I wouldn't be able to go off script. If I did that, then they'll just make the vice president stay on script. They'll just prevent me from talking because I don't want to play by the rules or something. So, as someone that works for the party rather than being the face of the party, I brought together a presentation on the immigration crisis on the southern border. And so I tried to make this big case about how we're letting in too many immigrants at once and it's ruining the economy, it's increasing the crime rates. If you know about Laken Riley in Georgia, yeah, that's a big example. And so I kind of like presented some solutions to the immigration crisis, like we could arrest some of the illegal immigrants or undocumented people that they wanted me to say. I lost points because I referred to them as illegals and not like whatever the frick the teacher wanted me to refer to them as. Like I'm actually so annoyed about that. I lost points. I could have gotten like 98% or whatever if I called them undocumented individuals or like whatever. Because I also put in photos of my cats just to make the presentation more lighthearted, but that docked me points as well because it wasn't professional. So I ended the project with a 93%. Anyway, yeah, so we can arrest some of the undocumented individuals and put them in labor camps, and so they can work for their citizenship. And some people like that, some people didn't, and that solution almost won the voting in the class, like, because if a policy or a solution like won a vote, then the political party would present that in the actual debate in the election simulation. And so we voted on it once. It like basically won. However, one of these annoying liberal kids was like, can we do a revote, And so we did a revote, and it lost because more people decided to raise their hand because they didn't want to talk about enslaving illegal immigrants and having them earn their citizenship through labor, like fixing AC units or like doing plumbing and stuff and actually gaining skills because they're so desperate to be in the country in the first place. So why don't you earn your citizenship by doing like labor? And they get paid for it because it's not technically slavery. Okay, you can make the argument it's slavery, but they're literally going to be paid for it. There's going to be money contributed to their bail or whatever the heck gets them out of jail and actually makes them a citizen. All of that stuff. But yeah, I did not care how controversial this subject is. Like, we can all agree. I don't care who you are. We can all agree. There is something that needs to be done about the southern border right now, okay? All those other kids in my class, they're just too scared to admit it themselves. They don't want to be involved. They don't want to talk about illegal immigration on the stage. You know what they are comfortable talking about? Israel and Palestine. And so they had a big debate about that. It was a whole cesspool, people saying retarded things. Now, I've said this multiple times in other videos. It is not my responsibility as a content creator to talk about war politics, specifically Israel and Palestine. I'm not going to talk about it. But just know, these kids, they don't know what they're talking about, seriously. Like, I'm not even saying that I disagree with them, which I do disagree with them, but I'm annoyed with the stuff they said because they are not knowledgeable on the situation whatsoever. They get their information from TikTok and Instagram and Twitter, all of that stuff. It's so annoying. But yeah, in the end, we didn't even talk about immigration at all. And so even if I did pass a solution or a policy, they wouldn't have debated it on stage because they cherry-picked certain like topics to discuss because we couldn't talk about everything. All that presentation was good for in the class about immigration, all it was good for was my grade, okay? It didn't get used at all. You know what else didn't get used? My commercial. I made a commercial for our political party, and so did 4 other classes except for one. They never made a commercial because they were behind on their work or whatever. But yeah, I made a commercial. It was really, really good. I would show it in this video, but it shows the kids' faces and stuff, and it shows parts of the school, so I can't. Principal's orders. But yeah, I put a lot of effort into it. Like, I only took 2 days to edit it, but that's because it's like 30 seconds long, and I'm very efficient when it comes to video editing, believe it or not. If you look at some of my second channel content with like my Scotland vlog or whatever, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, I've been editing videos since I was 10 years old. Okay, like I know I don't put that much effort into the main channel anymore, but I have skills that pay the bills. Every single person in the class loved the commercial except for the party chair. Now, the party chair is the person that manages like behind the scenes of the party. They're not really a person that would be front and center on stuff and stuff. So like they manage like the social media kind of stuff. I don't know how to properly explain it, but I think you get what I'm saying. Now, obviously, this party chair person, they don't like me, just like a lot of the other people in the class. I do call them a liberal on a very consistent basis, but my boy Kat says that she's not a liberal. She's actually very conservative, and her family is in the military. And I'm like, how is she conservative? She literally is so afraid of guns. She thinks that immigrants should be coming into the country for free. Man, I don't want to get into it, bruh. Like, I'm probably putting words in her mouth, but gosh dang it, she doesn't agree with a dang thing I talk about in that class, so you know. So the whole class voted and decided that my commercial that I made, rather than the poorly made commercial that someone else made, can be presented to the whole 400 people that are going to be watching us. But this party chairperson was too lazy to switch out the other commercial with my commercial, and so the other commercial was instead played in front of those 400 people. And when we were watching that thing on the stage and stuff, people around me, they're like, they're not even showing Professor Teagues' commercial. What the frick is this? What's going on? Treason. We call treason. And so some people had my back, but in the end, it wasn't really that big of a deal. Like, it was still a commercial. It still got our message out there and still advertised the gosh dang party. And, you know, in the end, it's high school, okay? We're a bunch of stupid kids. It doesn't matter, okay? Like, I know I sound like a nihilist right now, but you know, getting mad over someone not playing a commercial that I edited, no matter how high quality it is, that's just not productive. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I haven't lost sleep over it, but I am mildly disappointed. And If this party chairperson did do it on purpose, oh my goodness. Because there's a chance she didn't do it on purpose. Like maybe she forgot to switch the commercials out or even email it to the person that was projecting it on stage. And so if it was an accident, then I shouldn't be mad. But if it was on purpose, that says a lot about them, okay? So with that, people hate my policies on guns. I lost the election and I didn't get presidency. They didn't show my commercial when they were on stage. And they didn't like my presentation on immigration. I have a 100% lose rate in this election simulation. I have had no play in this entire thing except for one little thing. The party name. We called it the Golden Party because I wanted to spread an ideology as president when I was running of like, treat others how you want to be treated. The golden rule. We're the Golden Party. We're going to put gold back in your hands. Why should you let the kid that has all Fs take your grades where you have all A's and make it equal by giving you both C's when he didn't do nearly half of the work that you did as a straight A student? How is that fair? We need to take the initiative of our own work and our own labor and work for our own wealth rather than leeching off of other people that are more successful just because you are a black trans woman of color. But of course, that's too based. They're not going to use that slogan, but they are going to use the party name. People like the name, okay? People like gold. It's colorful. I literally have gold camos on my guns in Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer. So, I mean, in the end, I have a 10% win rate with that. But overall, this election simulation was an absolute failure. A lot of people are like kind of disappointed for me that I didn't really get to have a big role in the simulation because I am Professor Teagues. Do you know what I do every week on the Professor Teagues main channel? Like, come on. But when it's a class full of a bunch of people that don't agree with me, there's going to be tons of opportunity to suppress my kind of advantage in the class as being a very knowledgeable political activist. I don't like saying the word activist, but it's true. I technically am an activist. The teacher doesn't agree with me either. I can tell she's a bloody liberal. She's not a leftist. Like, she's smart. She's a smart person. She has common knowledge. But still, as an autistic female in her 40s that went to a very liberal university in her youth, we have like nothing in common. I wouldn't be surprised if she had some role suppressing my like advantage or whatever. I don't know. It almost makes me want to become a government teacher after I graduate college and just like teach a government class properly. You know, we should be showing speeches of Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, not just NBC News taking the centrist route and talking about both sides, not even like talking about both sides, bastardizing both kind of like views and putting them in one so that the kids have like this warped perception of the argument. I hate that so much. If you truly want to hear both sides of the argument, like I said, we listen to a Trump speech and a Hillary Clinton speech or a Joe Biden speech or whatever. We listen to Fox News and CNN. The both extremes, we get to hear both arguments and we get to make our own actual real opinions rather than listening to the centrists and having them bastardize the topic and then, oh my goodness. Whenever I had to do quote-unquote research on certain assignments that we had to do in the class, I found like sources that talked about things that none of the like default source material had that the teacher actually gave us. Like even this article that she gave us for this final gun violence debate that we had before the year ended. The article was written by someone that is a gun owner. They love guns. They've shot guns throughout their life, but they agree that this gun violence stuff that's going on in the country is very concerning. And so they presented all kinds of solutions. They provided nuance. They provided all kinds of things for us to consider. But when it comes to the statistics, there's a lot that they leave out. They do provide some statistics about types of guns that are used or like the mental health crisis and like what percentage of kids are miserable and what percentage of kids are so mentally ill to the point it would lead them to shooting up a public space, all that stuff. But there's so much more that you can learn if you do your own research. It's like getting into crypto or NFTs. Don't just do it because Andrew Tate told you so. You got to do your own research and figure out how exactly it works down to the very binary code of like how it functions. I'm exaggerating, but you get what I'm saying. Why exactly does gun violence occur? what guns are used, what kinds of people are using them, and that can be related to their race, their like wealth status, where they live, their culture. And so I found all of these interesting facts, like U.S. civilians own about 393 million guns. This is legal and illegal. 120 firearms for each 100 American citizen. That's crazy. From 1968 to now, the amount of firearms in the country have nearly doubled. But from 1993 to 2011, firearm-related homicides decreased 39%. That's crazy. They want to make the argument that gun violence is at an all-time high, but in reality, in the late 60s and even in the 70s, gun violence was at a high then, and it has been going down ever since. Now, if you look at specific communities, like in poor areas like Chicago, Atlanta, or Los Angeles, those statistics might be very different, but overall in the country, no matter where you go, the general consensus is that it's all going down. It doesn't matter that Atlanta, Chicago, and Los Angeles is so bad right now. And here's the thing about gun-related deaths. In 2021, 54% of all gun-related deaths are suicides. That's crazy. Now, of course, this is amidst the pandemic, and so there's like a big rise in a mental health crisis, so that makes sense. And so in the same year of 2021, there were 14.6 gun deaths per 100,000 people. Now, let's go back to 1974. There were 16.3 gun deaths per 100,000 people. So what did I say earlier? The amount of guns in the U.S. from 1968 to now have more than doubled, but the rates of gun violence has gone down by 11%. And of course, that's mixing suicide and murder and even accidental deaths. Wake up, sheeple. We also want to make the argument that guns are some of the most dangerous, kind of devices that we can own. But here's the thing. In 2021, 48,830 people died from gun-related things. However, 45,000 died from traffic accidents, 102,000 died from unintentional poisoning deaths. So are we going to ban guns and poison and herbs and stuff? Here are the top 10 causes of death. Heart disease, 173,000 in 2021. Cancer, 146,000. COVID, 104,000. Unintentional injuries, 64,000. Stroke, 41,000. Respiratory disease, 34,000. Alzheimer's, 31,000. Diabetes, 25,000. Liver disease, 14,000. Kidney disease, 13,000. So should we ban sugar and fattening food so that people don't get all these diseases, so that people don't die? I mean, some people might agree with that, but is that the same level as banning guns? Heck no. Raise your hand if you've witnessed a mass shooting in public. I've never witnessed a mass shooting, and yet we're trying to make the argument that mass shootings are so common in the US because there's more mass shootings in the US rather than literally every other country in the world. But the thing is that the argument lacks nuance. We need to consider, why do these shootings happen? And is there a better solution rather than just restricting guns from law-abiding citizens? Because the biggest issue, I think, that we don't acknowledge is that criminals don't follow laws. You can restrict or ban guns all you want, but criminals do not care. They're going to figure it out one way or another. And so what you have is all of these criminals that, commit 80% of all gun-related crimes, and then you have the law-abiding citizens that only take up 20%. And so suddenly you have your law-abiding citizens unarmed, you have all these criminals running around shooting people, and people are left with barely anything to defend themselves. And that's worst-case scenario if we restrict the right to own and bear arms. Like, obviously, we need to restrict certain people from owning guns because they're too mentally unwell and they have a criminal record. But when you restrict everyone that obeys the law, or everyone that you think might shoot up a place, you're pulling up all these red flag laws and punishing people for doing literally nothing. You can't predict that someone is going to commit a crime. You can't just look at them and be like, oh, that's a red flag. Bestie, stay away from him. Don't give him a firearm. It does depend on the situation, obviously. Like I said, you need to restrict some people. But say that there's someone protesting in the front of a school because they're rigging the election and making fake votes. Are you going to look at them and register them as a red flag and to where they can't own a gun because they were peacefully protesting? Heck no. Or even what I'm doing right now, testifying on why I think guns are over stigmatized. Am I going to be restricted to own a gun when I'm 18? I don't know. Sounds like a load of barnacles. Now, further towards the beginning of this video, I mentioned that you should probably stay away from the gun debate in general and don't call yourself out and say that you own guns because you're going to be put on a government list and they're going to figure out how to suppress you. That's basically what I'm talking about right now. These red flag laws that are labeling people that have literally not committed a crime, saying that they should not own a firearm because they're too dangerous and problematic. That's just, it's going to be fraudulent. It's being fraudulently used. Oh, I can't say that word. But yeah, I think I've said enough about that. I tried to not go on a tangent about this gun stuff in government, but it happened anyway because I didn't get to debate about that because I did all this research and took all these notes and I brought them to school so I could actually talk about it with the class. But the teacher decided, nope, we're not going to continue this debate. We're just going to have a fun day and we're going to play games and sign yearbooks. And yeah, so I did all that for nothing. But I'm using all this for this video to get it all out because I didn't get to debate it in the first place. So yeah, I guess it did have some use in the end. But in conclusion, do actual research rather than sticking to like exclusively the resources that your government teacher gives you to do these very serious debates. And I feel like that will be a very valuable skill when I'm in college. I'm going to start college like a day after my birthday in August, okay? And I feel like I'm ready. I grinded my booty cheeks until the last day of school, all right, doing all this schoolwork, and I ended up getting straight A's. I got straight A's ending off a school year for the first time in my entire life, and that's because I actually cared, okay? When you care about the work that you're doing and you actually take time to perfect it, or even, you know, get close to perfection, you will achieve great things. And so I'm doing all this work all the time. I'm just like barely ever on my phone. I have my earphones plugged in. I got my music going, just focusing on my work. I look around. I look at all these freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and even fellow seniors. They're all on their phones. All right, not doing the work that has been assigned to them early. They're not getting started on it. They're going to do it last minute. And I'm like, bro, you guys are so washed. Next thing you know, the due date is on the assignment. And it comes around and they're complaining, oh man, I wish I did this earlier. And I'm like, you don't say, little boy. Yeah, that's another thing. When you are assigned work early, oh my goodness, do it. Just do it because you never know what's going to happen. One of your other classes, they're going to assign you some big project. Next thing you know, you have barely any time to do either of the assignments. That's another way I got my A, okay? Like, I have the work finished from earlier already. I did it before everyone else, and then we're assigned the next assignment. So I have extra time to do this new assignment. And so I strive for perfection, and I get a really, really good grade on it, okay? And so I'm going to take that to a college. I'm going to sacrifice a bunch of my free time to make sure I get on that grind. I make sure I'm doing what I need to and what I have to do, at least. And despite what the ACT score is telling me, the standardized testing thing, I need to prove that I am better than everyone else in my high school graduate class. But of course, it all doesn't matter anyway because I'm a cis straight white Christian Sigma male, okay? But to me, this isn't just about getting a job. This is about me proving my skills, and I can apply it to a bunch of other things separate from the workforce or even college, okay? I use it for my videos. I'm literally making a video right now as I'm getting over my allergies. But yeah, so one final thing. Let's talk about adulthood. When I officially turn 18 in August, is this channel gonna change? I'm not sure, okay? Like, when you become an adult, you kind of have to start acting like it. I don't know how this YouTube thing is going to continue. I can't really predict the future. It just depends on what I'm feeling like and what I have to do because I'm going to get a job, a real job in July. I start July 2nd, okay? I need to figure out, am I going to private all of my social media so when they do the background check on me and social media check, they don't like get mad and be like, oh, you're not woke enough for our business. We can't have you. You're too problematic or something, you know? That might end up happening, and I probably won't be able to make a video about it before doing that. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, and then I'll be like inactive for a while, and then I'll come back most likely and explain what was going on. Yeah, I'm going to see how far this YouTube thing goes as an adult. Maybe I'll change my content. I'll private all of my commentary videos and stuff, or most of them anyway. Like, maybe I will find some, like, job manager person that will look at my social media and they'll be like, oh, no, that's fine. We don't care. We don't care how based you are. We need people like you. We don't want those wokies in our fine establishment anyway. Like, as long as I'm not, like, advocating for racism or, like, murdering people or anything like that, I should be mostly fine. It's just I'm worried about the fact that I am involved in the political sphere, and I am not left-leaning, okay? Alright, I'm a cis, straight, white, Christian, Sigma male ranting about how I don't like pronouns and suppressing gun ownership. Like, who's gonna hire that person? But of course, I am a good actor, and so if I do private all my social media, I can fake it. I can put he, him, or he, they for the oppression points everywhere, and they'll believe me. They won't argue that. I have multicolored hair. It's black and blonde, and I have round Harry Potter glasses. I look like one of them, okay? And that's why I have the colored hair in the first place at this point. Not only do I think it looks swag, but it makes me look woke, and so I fit right in. People are very open to talking with me because they don't suspect that I'm a cis, straight, white, Christian, Sigma, conservative male, okay? I'm gonna go far. I don't know how far, but I'm gonna go further than a lot of people that I know, that I just look at and I'm like, weak. Respectfully, though. And I can humble myself all I want, but in the end, I need that motivation, okay? I need to tell myself that I can do things, okay? Because a mindset grind set is very important to have when you are on that grind for real. I didn't talk about what I'm going to be majoring in. Yeah, I'm going to be majoring in psychology and like social behavior, social science and stuff. If you can understand the brain and why us humans do the things we do, then you can understand a lot of other things, I imagine. I'm going to be going in for 4 years. Usually, like actually good psychologists, they go for 6 or even 8 or 10 years. But nah, I'm not going into the psychology field or anything. I'm just trying to get the degree so people know that I'm a good worker or whatever. And also, I'm really interested in psychology. I don't want to actually be a therapist or even a scientist and have to work with sick people all the time. That's, I don't know, I deal with enough of those people already. I know plenty of people with psychology degrees that are adults and stuff, and they're well into their working career. And gosh dang it, they are so intelligent. Or even like Think Before You Sleep, the dude that's beefing with Illymation right now. Oh, he is so intelligent. I recently watched every single one of his videos that he's ever uploaded that's public right now, okay? I mean, except for his live streams. I only watched one pre-recorded live stream. I need to watch the other half dozen. It doesn't matter if he uploaded a video in 2024 or even in 2019. Every single video is so interesting and it provides so much nuance to every single situation that he talks about. I am just so unbelievably intrigued by how the human brain works and why retarded people do the retarded things that they do. And if you can have that self-awareness as a retarded or autistic or Down syndrome person or whatever, then you can improve yourself despite your disabilities. I think you can see what I'm getting at. Okay, how do I overcome my behaviors? How do I overcome my reading disability? All that stuff. And so that's what social science will kind of dabble into. I might switch my degree. I don't know. I might minor in something rather than major. Or I could just drop out altogether if I decide college isn't for me and it's not worth the time or money. I mean, college is being paid for me anyway because I'm retarded. And so I get the oppression points apparently for that. And so yeah, I don't have to pay any money. It does consume a lot of time. And I could be grinding for an actual career that doesn't need college. But still, I want to learn that psychology stuff. Like, I know I can learn it all on YouTube. There's like classes you could just watch on YouTube and you don't need to do any work. If you are too lazy to get through college, well, who knows how far you would get with just that, okay? If you can prove that you're worthy for a bachelor's degree, you can prove a lot of other things. I think I'm done talking. This recording is like an hour long. I will enjoy editing this down. Sub to the second channel, follow the Rumble, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, and join the Discord server. Follow other social media. Bye bye.